This game has taken a lot of heat since its release on June 5th. It's been dubbed as a weak Gears of War ripoff. But here in the lab, we like to take an objective look at games and not just spew cynicism like a bunch of trolls. We don't just bash a game for being a clone. Because when you think about it, almost every game out there now has done some cloning from some past title. I mean, it's not like first-person shooters started with Modern Warfare 3. So with that said, here's our unbiased review of Inversion.
Now, this is a perfect example why one should never base their choices on reviews alone, because to this day I have yet to see a positive or even accurate review of this game.
Maybe that's just how things are on their planet.
Now, while I'm not saying this game is going to be the next big thing or even worthy of a sequel, it certainly isn't nearly as bad as the critics say it is.
Okay.
I think gamers and reviewers alike should remove themselves from the politics of the game industry and just focus on the real purpose of video games, to have a good time. It seems to me that most people came down hard on Inversion for one particular reason: its similarities to Gears of War, and to me that's just biased politics talking.
Wish us luck! You're gonna need it!
Now, the story of Inversion is one of the first things I noticed that came under heat. But in my opinion, it was a good story. One of the strongest parts of this game, actually. Not a great story, especially as the game progresses closer to the end. It got a bit weird, but still a good one. Aliens have invaded the Earth, rounding up all the kids and enslaving and slaughtering the adults. Your character is David Russell, and along with your friend Leo Delgado, you're on a mission to find your daughter. The story, I suppose, like most things, are totally subjective. Now, most of the business regarding the aliens are a bit up in the air, no pun intended, but the whole search for your daughter thing works for me. I guess if you have no kids, it'll have no effect on you, but I didn't mind playing a game about an alien invasion that basically had nothing to do with saving the rest of the planet. Been down that road enough times.
Come on! You gonna weigh in on this?
Don't know. Don't care. All I know is someone's gonna pay for taking my little girl.
Amen to that.
Now, the story and the abundance of checkpoints are really the only two things that went down in my good books for Inversion. I'm not saying the game is bad, but everything else about Inversion leaves it hovering a little above an average game.
We'll see about that.
The graphics in Inversion are nice. I guess nice is a silly and probably meaningless word, but that's the best way I can describe the visuals, as there is nothing groundbreaking about them, but they do get the job done well enough.
These bastards have us pinned! Can't moving out until we take out all those defenses!
I also like the voice acting. This is a term I use a lot to describe acting in video games for my reviews, but it was good B-movie acting. Nothing to break the experience.
Here they come! About 200 yards away! Let's get out there!
The overall gameplay was also good. The controls were smooth for most part. Didn't feel broken. Now, there were some times when they were a downright pain, but I'll get to that in a minute.
Davis, we gotta break open those planks. Use the grav link.
The addition of this new device called the grav link was another nice touch. Helped to set the game a bit further apart from Gears of War. Now, at first the grav link seemed like a gimmick to do just that, but after playing the game through to the later levels where you can actually upgrade this grav link, I got to really appreciate it. I didn't really see its true purpose at first, and based on the reviews I watched, my mind was initially poisoned. But the grav link is good, especially when you grab an enemy from afar, pull him in, and completely annihilate him. The destructible environments were also cool, but like I've said before in other reviews, destructible environments are usually, if not always, inconsistent. Sometimes there's no explanation for why certain things can be broken down and certain things can't.
Hey! Last time I checked, ain't none of you professors. So don't waste your time theorizing.
One of the blatant ripoffs from Gears of War would be the executions, but ripoff or not, a good execution is always appreciated. The weapons for most part were very effective, and you have a pretty decent selection to choose and refuse from.
This is some real firepower.
The multiplayer, which I'll try to get into in the lobby another day, was also good. Of course, this game taking the beating it has naturally is going to be hard to find a match so far from its release date, but if you do, it's good times. Also, great big thumbs up on the co-op campaign. Now, although this game isn't a masterpiece, I have reason to believe it wasn't rushed out the gate like some other titles who had their weak co-op components released after the game's launch. So yeah, no tacking on here. Here are some of the bad points of Inversion though. Nice or not, this game does have its fair share of flaws. First up on the block for a healthy chopping. You can't seem to really stop a reload. This is garbage, but at least they didn't in their cloning of Gears of War decide to include that silly active reload system. But yeah, you should always be able to stop a reload, especially with a shotgun. Another thing, your enemies, most of them look like a copy and paste job of the other, and you fight the same guys too many times, to the point where it actually becomes painfully boring. Then simple things like this. I've seen it in other third-person games, but that doesn't make it okay, having to press a button to jump down. I don't like this one bit. If I fall off a ledge, then so be it. I'd like to have that option. This way of doing things just annoys me and it breaks my momentum. Maybe they should have taken a page from the guys at Ghost Recon Future Soldier. Now those guys got it right.
Secure the sensor emplacement located here.
Then there's your team member's AI. I guess this game would have been better in co-op mode because Leo is a complete idiot.
So what's the plan, Chief?
Then the glitches. Yeah, I said I don't think this game was rushed, but these glitches kind of make me want to rethink that. Now back to the controls. Smooth for most part, but very clumsy in midair. I hated these moments. In retrospect though, I have to be reasonable and ask myself, how would I actually control myself in real life if I were floating in midair? Who knows?
Davis, grab some objects and try smashing open a pathway with your grappling.
This is bad, but not bad for all players. The linear gameplay. Some of us like the options of taking branching paths, while some don't mind that old school Contra feel where you go where the game tells you. So this is okay and bad depending on your preference. Me, I don't mind not having to choose. I'll save that for my adventure and RPG titles. So I leave that one up to you to decide whether it's good or bad, but the game is very linear though.
Hey guys, looks like my get out of prison card came in handy, eh?
The camera. Very annoying. I'm still waiting for devs to figure out how to create a proper camera in a third-person game. But while this isn't always horrible in all third-person games, it's pretty noticeable in Inversion. Bullet damage. The lab video game television has been around since 2003, and if you've been following us since then, you'll realize there's certain things that I just never let slide, and bullet damage is one of them. If you want to say fine, you're an alien and bullets don't affect you like they do humans, okay. But the fact that they do eventually send you to that final resting place means they do make significant impact, so if you're getting shot, you should act accordingly. That's all I'm saying. The last thing. It might seem like a small thing, but what I've grown to realize with games is this. When playing a game on the hardest difficulty, every little thing counts. Now, these guys have a tendency to move off real slow and cool when you're trying to get into a sprint. This can be really annoying when under heavy gunfire. Trust me on this one. So, that's that, my detailed review of Inversion. The game is no groundbreaker, but not nearly as bad as some people say it is. And with all that said, the lab gives Inversion a 7 out of 10.
We got what we needed.